staff and students of the college welcome you, Madam. A sincere welcome to our guest of honor, Professor S.S. Patil, former Registrar and Senior Professor of Kuvempu's presence. It is an honor to have you with us. Welcome, sir. A homely welcome to our chief guest, Dr. Preeti V. Shanbag, Academic Director of Manasa Trust. Your keen interest in all our activities and constant encouragement has been our strength, which motivated us to host this conference. Your very presence with us is a sign of your goodwill and support. Welcome you, Madam. A cordial welcome to Dr. Rajni Pai, Director of Manasa Trust, Dr. V. Shanbag, Trustee of Manasa, Dr. Rajendra Chenny, Director of Manasa Center for Cultural Studies. We are fortunate to have you as our guides. Your presence is an inspiration to us. A happy welcome to all our treasured participants of the conference, without whom our efforts would have been in vain, and we would not have been able to organize this conference. Your presence and participation has given meaning to our efforts while planning this event. Thank you for your support and cooperation. A friendly welcome to all our very staff, Dr. Archana, Dr. Shweta, the conveners of the conference, all our UG and PG staff, our enthusiastic UG and PG students, and all those who have helped us in various ways to make our dream come true. Welcome once again. Let us make the pandemic era less threatening and more challenging so that we grow through it all and become stronger to face the inevitable in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. We now have Dr. Archana Bhatt, HOD, Department of Psychology, Kateel Ashok Memorial College, to give us a brief report on all the events of the conference so far. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you, Ms. Ashwini. Namaskara. Good afternoon, respected dignitaries and fellow participants. I deem it my privilege to present the report of 3 days of learning and sharing at the International Virtual Conference, Psychological Wellbeing in the Pandemic Era. On the onset, the idea of an international conference was something that was a challenge, yet a challenge that all of us at Kateel Ashok Memorial College wanted to really take up. The idea, which was proposed by our principal, was backed by the management, Dr. Rajni Pai, Dr. Vaman Shanbog, and Dr. Preeti Shanbog, our academic advisor, Dr. Chenny, coordinator of clinical psychology, Sister Mari Evelyn, and Dr. Shweta. With able guidance from Dr. Sam Manikam, the theme Psychological Well-Being in the Pandemic Era was conceptualized. The idea was further strengthened when Kuvempu University and Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan extended their support to the conference. The conference, which was conducted on a digital platform, was preceded by a pre-conference workshop. Father Alex from De La Salle University, Philippines, conducted a workshop on savoring as a tool for optimization and neutralizing rumination. Dr. Prasanta Kumar Roy, head of the Department of Clinical Psychology, Institute of Psychiatry, a Center of Excellence, Kolkata, conducted a workshop on clinical hypnotherapy. The pre-conference workshop was attended by over 70 participants across India. The conference was inaugurated by Shri H.N. Suresh, Director Bharati Vidya Bhavan, on 6th August. The chief guest for the event was Dr. Vaman Shanbog, Trustee of Manasa Trust. Dr. Rajni Pai, the Director of Manasa Trust, served as the guest of honor, and the event was presided by the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Kuvempu University, Professor B.P. Veerabhadrappa. Dr. Sam Manikam, Professor in Clinical Psychology, Trivandrum, delivered the keynote address. This was followed by parallel paper presentations. The sessions were chaired by Dr. H.S. Ashok, former chairperson, Bangalore University Department of Psychology, Dr. Lancy D'Souza, Associate Professor in Psychology, University of Mysore, Dr. A.R. Krishnamurthy, former Professor in Psychology, Dr. Rekha M.S., Assistant Professor in Psychology, Mandya, Dr. K.T. Shweta, Assistant Professor in Psychology at Kateel Ashok Memorial College, Dr. Malati V. Rao, Assistant Professor of Psychology, Tiptur, Dr. Premanand, Head of the Department and Professor, St. Agnes College, Mangalore, Dr. Anita Bhatt, Assistant Professor, GFGC, Sirsi, Dr. Geeta A., Assistant Professor of Psychology, Maharani Cluster University, Bengaluru, Dr. Venkatesan, HOD of Clinical Psychology, All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, Mysuru, and Dr. Anita Shrikumar, Head of the Department, MES College, Bengaluru. With over 278 registered participants and 156 papers presented in across 14 sessions, students both UG and PG, research scholars, professors, interdisciplinary researchers, and psychology enthusiasts across 9 states of India and 3 international co-authors presented their papers. With over 54 colleges who had participated in the conference, the the colleges where we had most number of papers were from IIS deemed to be University Jaipur, SDM Postgraduate Center Ujre, St. Agnes College Mangalore, Surana College Bengaluru, Roshni Nilaya College of Social Work Mangaluru, and Amity University Lucknow. The conference in the midst of the pandemic was a small attempt from our side to motivate and encourage young minds who have been deprived of a regular college interaction and push them to try and explore the world of research. With the valedictory address today, we hope to promise ourselves to plan for more events, and not just more events, more meaningful events with all your guidance. Thank you very much. And with this, I end the report for today, and I hand over the session to the MC, Ms. Ashwini.
Thank you, ma'am. I request Ms. Anaga, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology, to introduce Dr. Kalyan Sundaram, who will be addressing the valedictory address shortly. Over to you, Anaga. Dr. Kalyana Sundaram has been active in the field of mental health since 5 decades. After completing his graduation from the University of Madras in 1975, he obtained his MD in psychiatry from NIMHANS. After serving for 5 years in NIMHANS, he began his private practice in 1981. A former CEO of Richmond Fellowship Society, currently he is the Honorable Advisor of the same society in Bengaluru. His articles have been published in several national and international journals as well as in textbooks. He was listed as one of the finalists in Bangalorean of the Year 2013, and he was honored with the Eminent Psychiatrist Award by IPC-KSC. In his illustrious career, he has also received the awards of Indian Chapter Award for Excellence in Psychosocial Rehabilitation in 2016, Dedicated and Distinguished Leadership Award in 2019. He was also honored by the IPS in 2020. He's passionate about teaching and has served as professor and principal of RFPG College from 1999 to 2015. We are glad to have you with us, sir. Over to you.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very pleased to be part of this Kateel Ashok Memorial College valedictory program. And when Preeti Pai and Rajani Pai called and asked me to be part of this event, my mind went back 50 years when Dr. late Ashok Pai and I were batchmates, college mates, at demands, and more importantly, very, very close friends. Not only Ashok Pai and myself, my wife and Ashok Pai and I, we were all batchmates at the same time at Manson, 72, the early 70s. And sooner than that, the family of Ashok Pai became my extended family. And we have been in touch over several years. There is one person who would have been delighted, and knowing him would have been all over the place with his enthusiasm and his encouraging words to everybody, would have been my dear friend Ashok Pai. I would like to extend warm regards to my good friend Sam Manikam. I see him today here. Good to see you, Sam. And chief guest Dr. Patil and all other dignitaries for this event. I feel honored to listen to the wonderful work this college has been doing, and to see that the participants have been from across the country, I think, which means that you have made an impact in this short time, to see that your academic program has been inspiring to a lot of youngsters. So today I will be talking about on the topic psychological well-being in the pandemic era. There is one thing everybody has been talking about for the last 18 months is the virus, the pandemic, its ill effects, its after effects, what has it done, what will it do? I don't think we ever thought of this in the beginning of 2020. Life was smooth, comfortable. We went on with our routine activities without the thought for the future on most occasions. We felt that we are on top of the world. We did everything that we could, and we managed our life in the manner we thought that was easy, comfortable, not just for ourselves, for the family. Sometime in the late March of 2020, although the issue of the virus influencing the rest of the country, starting from China to Italy to France, UK, and the US, we thought it will not cross the border. We assumed that it will have to take a visa, collect a passport, get across the immigration counter, and then maybe stopped there by the enthusiastic immigration officers. Little did we know that the pandemic had no borders. The virus had no borders. It entered. And not only entered the country, it entered everyone's lives. Even when it mattered at that point in time, I don't think anybody thought that we'll be sitting here today after 18 months, baffled by the enormity of the situation. I don't think we have understood it completely, because some people are still unwilling to accept that there is a threat at every corner of the world that we live in today. It was most unexpected and unwanted and sudden. In the so-called first wave, people took it easy because it did not affect me. It affected somebody far away in, Jaipur, somebody far away in Lucknow, somebody far away down south in Kerala. It did not affect anybody that I know. We heard of people having the pandemic, having symptoms. People are beginning to understand what those symptoms were. And some of them did not believe that it will affect us. People thought of several things that we made our lives, slight modification will make it easy. But when it completely enveloped the environment around us, when we started getting affected, when we started having symptoms, when people are getting admitted to the hospitals, then it had become a major problem in the space that we were living in. Suddenly, people talked about new things. Work from home. What was his work from home? You are not allowed to go to office. You are not allowed to go out. And when people did not realize the enormity of it, government had to step in and say, we are going to introduce what is called a lockdown. I don't think any of the senior members who are with us would ever have thought that in their lives they will experience something called lockdown. that we will be locked inside our own homes. Who would have thought of that? People who always felt my spouse is going out, is not spending enough time at home, had enough of it over a period of time, a short period of time. Lockdown inside the house, not going out anywhere, people started panicking. They started rushing out and buying provisions as if there is no tomorrow. Hoarding became an issue. Children's schools had to be closed. Just imagine a situation where the family of father, mother, and 2 children, and maybe an elderly parents, 6 of them living in a relatively average middle class family of 2 bedrooms and another room. Everybody had to work within that space. Like most couples today, both of them were working. The wife, the lady of the house, had to manage the house activities and log in for her activities every day. Children began to understand that you can see the teacher in front of a screen. You can talk to your teacher in front of the screen. And they did not understand how is it to sit in a place for 30-45 minutes at one place without getting distracted, without running around, without hiding under the table. And this kind of an experiences put an enormous strain on psychological well-being of people. If one person had to be working in from one corner of the room, another corner the child is working, the child had to be monitored, mother is doing something, she's cooking in the house, suddenly the whistle of a pressure cooker is making a noise and the child is saying, teacher says, mama, don't make noise. Now, how do we cope with this kind of things? This caused distress and the children lost out the most important aspect of their growth, which is peer interaction. One of the things children learn when they go out to school, not just children learn, as they say, not as much as in the classroom as it is outside the classroom. Playing with children, working out their frustrations, having a disagreement, having a fight, coming back and making it up, saying, I'm not going to talk to you tomorrow, only to say tomorrow morning, how are you, Archana? How are you, Ramesh? Now, this kind of a bonding that happens in a school environment, which is away from the home environment, extremely important for the child's growth, both psychologically, emotionally, and also for the brain development in its own varieties of ways. Brain does not develop in isolation inside a cocoon. It has to develop by its interaction away from a small area. And that kind of an interaction or a peer activity can happen only in a school environment for a child. There were times when children and the families could go out on a break. Everybody thought this virus will come and go. May, June, we will start traveling. No way, that's the time the pandemic hit its peak. All plans were shelved. No going out, no holidays, no picnic. And frustrations began to build up. When frustrations began building it up and tempers were getting frayed, people were beginning to get on each other's nerves. They did not know how to handle the kind of pressure cooker atmosphere inside the small space in a house. This continued because nobody knew how long will this go on. Nobody knew how long will this continue. The lockdown was for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. We had no clue. And slowly people began to understand that our lifestyle has to change. We'll have to adapt to the new norms. The new norms being, this is how it's going to be. Healthcare workers in the meantime were at the forefront. They were in the forefront risking their lives, standing in front of deceased people, the burden of managing them, the burden of coping with their distress, personal distress. The personal distress did not have an outlet because nobody had planned for an event. My good friend Sam would tell me, if there is a disaster the country has faced, either with floods or a droughts or a tsunami, there was a pattern of disaster management. You just need to tweak what this disaster, how is this disaster different from the other kind of a disaster we have managed in the past, earthquake disaster. But the general framework, the general template was there. We just need to shift the location, shift the different roles people had to play in different situations. And that the psychologists, social workers, doctors and others were very well adaptable in managing such disasters. This was unheard of. And you cannot say, I will borrow the experience of my colleague in my other university. I can talk to my friend in UK. I can talk to my friend in USA. They were fumbling. They were groping in the dark. And people did not know what the right information is, did not know how to handle these things. And we were inundated with information explosion. When information explosion, I compare it with the tsunami, it came and it comes with such a force, it swept everything that was in front of you. It also swept away your common sense. It preyed on your vulnerabilities. It preyed on your anxieties. It preyed on your uncertainties. And there, like very well-known universities that we are aware of, including Dr. S.S. Patil's Kuvempu University, a new university took its shape in the country and across the globe. And that is what my friend Dr. Ravi of Nimmans called the WhatsApp University. The WhatsApp University started spinning stories. There are universities which would convey or conduct programs, conduct institutions, they conduct various kind of arts courses, science courses, technical courses. The WhatsApp University is a combination of all. It started peddling news which were far from the truth. But when you are anxious, what happens is you try to grab whatever information that is thrown at you. The brain is a kind of an organ. It's like a sponge sometimes, can absorb anything and everything. If it is negative, it has a tendency to take it much faster and retain it. My mental health colleagues will understand when we say, if there is a negative thing that happens around us, the brain tends to absorb it better and retain it longer. If there's something nice and positive that happens, it seems to be there for the present, appreciate it, like it, enjoy the moment, and somehow it doesn't seem to stay longer. The negative images, the negative impressions, the negative impact remains with us much longer. So when WhatsApp University started giving degrees like masters, MPhil and PhDs, people were producing information galore. And people started panicking. When people started panicking, it had a huge psychological impact in their day-to-day lives. Unfortunately, when an individual has a psychological impact or a psychological problem, I will come to the details a little later, it does not affect only one individual. It affects the entire family. If I give an example very often, if a person has an appendix, inflammation, what we call appendicitis, the person appendix is involved, that individual gets operated, that appendix is taken out, in 2 days' time he gets home, 1 week's time is normal. It does not emotionally affect the rest of the family except for 2-3 days when they want to look after him in the hospital and bring him home. If there is a group of 10 people who get appendix infection, all 10 people have the similar kind of an appendix problem. The surgeon can close his eyes and put his hand at the lower end of the right side of the abdomen, examine, make a diagnosis, do a scan and take it out. But a psychological problem, if 10 different people have same diagnosis of an anxiety disorder or an emotional distress or an interpersonal problem or a marital problem in a couple or a major depressive disorder or more disease, serious disease like schizophrenia, not all of them are the same. Each one is different. Each impression, each person, the way the individual manifests itself or the person undergoes the problem is different from all the other 9 people. The diagnosis may be the same. The what we call presentation is different because the individual and the illness are interacting. Plus the family members, the support system, lack of support system, presence and absence of people who are providing help and support to you, emotional or otherwise. All of them have an impact. Therefore, they are different. And more importantly, when a person has a severe anxiety or a panic or a depressive disorder, the entire family seems to be affected. I often tell my students depression is an infective disease. Infective not in terms of pathogen, infective not in terms of infection spreading from to another, infective in the sense the mood state seems to envelop the rest of the family. Similarly, in pandemic times, these experiences have become manifold. Those who have experienced already suffering from this kind of a diagnosable situations, those who are prone to stress disorders, those who are prone to anxiety disorders, on treatment for anxiety disorders, they started getting more and more symptoms. The relapses in them became much more. The symptoms seemed to go out of control. They got into situations like, should I go out? Should somebody come inside? Should I wear a mask? Should I not wear a mask? Should I, if anybody coming from outside, should I make them stay 8 feet away, 10 feet away? And I should be staying isolated in my room. Please don't come to my room. He doesn't have any disease. He doesn't have any illness. But he believes that he may develop the illness. So he gets cornered into your room and tell them, if you want to give me food, knock it and go. Lock the door, leave the food outside. Almost as if enacting a kind of a situation where what one would do during what we call home quarantine. And these kind of things became multifold, and people who were on treatment, they had to be given a more number of doses, increased number of medication, and unfortunately, they could not even go and meet the doctors. And because of this, we gave birth to a new phenomena. Not that it was not there, but the new phenomena became a norm. And what was that? Teleconsultations. Mental health professionals, like other specialists, began to provide teleconsultations. Initially, both the professionals and the patients and the families were very uncomfortable because it has not been done before. You need to have what is called a smartphone. Behind a smartphone, you need to have smart people. Smartphone alone is not enough. People will have to know how to operate that, how to convey what you need to convey within that short screen of this size. And as you are talking to somebody, the child is coming in, Mama, I am feeling hungry. How do you not pay attention to the child? And the doctor sometimes had a series of patients lined up. You can ask my senior colleagues here, Rajani, Preeti, Shanbad, Sam, and others, will it ever replace face-to-face seeing of uh, your professionals seeing face-to-face their patients or clients? It will never replace it. I tell my students or my families who come along with the patients, we look at people as they walk into the room. The day they walk in, their body language, the way they sit, where they sit, in front of the chair, edge of the chair, back of the chair, the facial expression. Everything matters. When you are saying something to the family, the reaction of the individual is noted. When you say something to the patient, the expressions of the family member is observed. They all give a whole lot of information. How can it ever be replaced? But we had no choice. We had to go along with what is possible, because we thought that whatever was even available to them was not available. And it began to impact the time of the professionals. What they could not do, what they would have done in their office space, they began to do it at home after the office timing sometimes. It ate away so much of your personal time. I, for example, I would work only half a day. Other half a day I would spend in my Richmond fellowship. By 5 o'clock, I'm done for the day. Now for teleconsultation, it had happened only after 6 p.m. when I came home. And it took away my time, 2 or 3 patients in a day, 6 o'clock up to 8, 8:30. No time with the family, no time with the grandchild, no quality time for anything, no personal time for yourself, and you began to feel very tired and exhausted. So similarly, all of them had a very huge impact. Then things like vaccination came, and people began to say, aha, now this is a possibility that we can now become fine. When the first wave came and the first wave slowly began to ebb away by last November, December, people said, now we are let loose. We will celebrate like we have never celebrated before. Festivals came. November, December, Christmas season came, and the crowds thronged all over the place because they said, I'm going to make up for all the lockdown period now. I'm going to celebrate. The virus never entered your space. You went and invited the virus. You went and with your open arms and say, please come. Virus says, oh, somebody is welcoming me. I'm going. When you welcome, you're not only welcoming the virus on your behalf, you're welcoming the virus on behalf of your family, on behalf of your community, on behalf of your neighbors, on behalf of your building. And so by again February, March 2021, the so-called second wave hit us. I call it the tsunami. They were warning signs. Scientists had told us, do not let your guard down. It will happen. Mutation has already been happening. When the second wave happened, just at the right time, the elections of this country took place. Religious congregations began to happen despite warnings. Government sanctioned activity. People waited for the elections to be over, knowing fully well that lockdown had to be imposed, but they had to wait because those things seemed important. By the time they hit the lockdown, 27th of April, all hell broke loose. What happened by then? What's the major difference between the first and second wave? In the second wave, the numbers were more, people were getting more serious infections, more people were dying. And this time, every one of us who are here knows somebody within our close family, close friend circle. They were dying. Families were dying. It was not only affecting the elderly, it affected everybody. Beds became scarce. Oxygen became scarce. There was a period I would get phone calls, 10, 12 phone calls every day. Doctor, do you know somebody who can have a bed for so and so, so and so? Where do we go? Pathetic, helpless. People were dying as they were entering the hospitals. And when they died, you could not go and see them. You're not expected to go and see those people because the virus load multiplies when the person dies of COVID. Can you imagine a situation where your own dear near one, like your own spouse, your parents, your children, and you can't go and see even the dead body, and people are left in a limbo without a closure. In the second pandemic, grief became a major issue. People did not even have a time for grieving because you had a small child at home to look after, having lost your husband unexpectedly. And people also, in my opinion, did not take some of the things very seriously. They were warned not to go near the dead body. Don't go to the crematorium. But sometimes emotions overcame pragmatism. When emotions overran pragmatism, then we were in for a bigger trouble. I'm reminded of a good friend of ours whose young couple married about 2 years. The man is 32-year-old. Married a couple of years, no children. They were there trying their best to have a, IVF kind of a situation. And the girl's mother died somewhere near Malaysia and in Bangalore, which is another location in Bangalore from the south. She said, let us go and see my father and come because my mother died. He reluctantly went. They stayed there for one day. She said, because there's nobody at home, like my father, he alone. Came back 3 days later, he got COVID, battled for 3 weeks, died a miserable death. 32-year-old and a 29-year-old wife left widowed at this young age. You have to live this with this kind of a emotional void all your life, not because the person died, because the way the events manifested itself, ending in death. There are many such stories we can talk about. Have we learnt a lesson? Are we willing to learn a lesson? I'm afraid sometimes people are unwilling to learn a lesson. Vaccination happened. First vaccination, second vaccination, 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, 84 weeks later, Covaxin, Covishield, debate. All vaccines are good. No vaccination is no good. As simple as that. There are some who told me, highly educated, senior professors in established institutions, Dr. Saab, I do not believe in vaccination. I tell them we are not talking about belief systems. We are talking about the truth. We are talking about your social responsibility. If you don't take vaccination, you are vulnerable and you will make somebody else infected, even though a person could have taken double vaccination. Vaccination, take it from me, ladies and gentlemen, will not prevent you from getting an infection. But if you do get it, it will be very mild. Hospitalization is practically not required. There are odd cases here and there. You do not highlight one odd case amongst millions. So there is a social responsibility. Many of us had COVID positive. I was COVID positive because I went and encountered a doctor to whom I had gone for my evaluation, an orthopedician. He turned positive. I had to be home quarantined. So we have to be very careful and cautious about not allowing ourselves to get into this kind of a situation. Are there any coping strategies? First of all, get the right kind of information from the right source only. If there are rules, please follow. If there is a lockdown, follow. If there is a curfew, follow. Night curfew, weekend curfew, it is not a challenge to say, I hoodwinked 2 police posts and ran through the by lanes and came home. It is not something you thump your chest about. Lifestyle changes, healthy diet, fruits and vegetables, exercise regularly, wherever possible. Simple exercises like walking, breathing exercise, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, all of them have a positive impact on you. When you're working long hours, do not work without a break. Everybody needs a break. Take a break in between. And do something. When they say, I'm relaxing, what are you doing? I'm relaxing by doing nothing. It is not relaxation. Doing something different is relaxation. Doing something which you like to do is relaxation, which is not something which is very intensive, which is very time consuming. So in the pandemic times, one has to be sensible and smart and careful to spread the right kind of a message. Avoid forwarding things which are not very true. 3 things you have to do continuously, even if you have been vaccinated. Wear a mask at all times when you step out of your house. No matter where you go, you wear a mask. If you are in a mental health situation, make sure whoever enters your space, the person wears a mask. Wearing a mask is to cover the nose and the mouth and not your neck. So wear a mask. Keep not social distance. You and I are sitting in different locations today, but you are still socially connected. The social distancing, in my opinion, is a misnomer. It's a physical distance. Keep physical distance as much as possible. Avoid crowding. Opening of theaters, alternate seats inside a closed space. AC is on in the cinema theater. One of the worst things one can happen. No, we are keeping alternate seats because virus knows it will not jump a seat. I'm not able to breathe, so I have to take the mask. So everybody is sitting inside the theater. You're crowding outside with the ticket in your hand. Dangerous things to do. Opening of religious spaces or festivals that have to be part of. I want to be part of that. If you want to be part of that, you're going to be part of a pandemic situation. I tell them, you will be coming in the newspaper as a super spreader and be careful. I have to attend the wedding ceremony of my neighbor's sister-in-law's, brother-in-law's only daughter was come from United States for the wedding. I have to go. Nobody is going to miss you at the wedding. Nobody will miss you. Ask yourself, if you go to this wedding, if you don't go, will anybody miss me? The answer is 9 out of 10 times, nobody is going to miss you. But you want to feel important, you want to go. Risky situations. Avoid gathering at any cost. And be a responsible citizen, not only for yourself, for your family, for the society in which you are part of that society. I will end this 30 minutes time. I think I'm one of those who believes in sticking to my time. People know me as some traits of obsessions, which I think is a good quality in certain situations. All I want to wish is a wonderful organization and a wonderful event that you have planned. I wish and pray all of you a very healthy future. Stay safe, stay healthy, wear your mask, and make sure that you spread the right message to everybody at all times and do not relax. And your health is in your hands, your neighbor's health is in your hands. And unfortunately, the neighbor does not believe your health is in his hands. Ignore him. He is not important. And you are important. Good to see you all. Good to see my friends all over again. And thank you once again, Rajini, Preeti, Shanbag, and all of you who are here, that wonderful staff who I have seen and interacting. I'm delighted. Again, I cannot but remember my dear friend Ashok Pai. If I continue to mention his name, I might become ever emotional. I might embarrass myself by choke in my speech. Kere, thank you very much. And
Thank you for those kind words, sir. Professor S.S. Patil, Senior Professor, Kuvempu University, is our guest of honor today. I request Ms. Anaga to introduce Sir to the gathering, followed by his keynote address. Over to you, Anaga.
Professor S.S. Patil is currently the Professor of Education at Kuvempu University. After his post-graduation in psychology from the University of Madras, he has completed his doctoral degree from Devi Ahalya Vishwavidyalaya, Indore, Madhya Pradesh in 1997. He has been the task force member of Mission Group of Karnataka Knowledge Commission. He was the director and chairman of Department of Education, Kuvempu University. Also the member of Academic Council, member of Syndicate, Dean of Faculty of Education, Director of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation Board at Kuvempu University. He has also officiated as chairman of the University Statutes Committee. Professor Patil's work experience also includes being a special officer at Chief Minister's Office, Government of Karnataka, member of Development Council, DIET, Shivamogga, principal of Kumadwati College of Education, Shikaripura. He has guided not only Indian but also foreign students for PhD. Nearly 100 articles, 8 of his books, and more than 110 research papers have been published in national and international research journals. He has delivered several keynote addresses, special lectures in national and international seminars, conference, and symposia. He has also been a resource person for 100 on odd training programs. Over to you, sir. We are glad to have you here.
Thank you very much for inviting me as the guest of honor for this valedictory program. And with me on the screen, Dr. Kalyana Sundaram and Dr. Preeti Shanbhag and Dr. Sandhya Kaveri and Sam Manikam and Dr. Archana and the principal of the college, Evelyn, and professors and of Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial College, Shivamogga. Indeed, I was very much fascinated by the valedictory address given by Dr. Kalyana Sundaram. He has narrated the entire process as to how every individual suffered and also at some instances enjoyed the effects of the pandemic. And till today, many of the parents, we are all going across with this never heard, never experienced pandemic. In the beginning, when there was lockdown, many of us, including myself, were very happy that we have to be home and spend our fantastic time with the family members. And even including my wife, many of the family members were very happy that my husband will be with me from morning till evening. But as days passed, it became so difficult and sometimes so horrible that how to tolerate this man from morning 6 to evening and overnight continuously for 18 months till today. And they are thanking government of Karnataka and government of India for reopening of the institutions. I think it is the case with everybody. I hope many of us agree with it. And especially parents, they are actually worshipping the teachers because their kids are in the home. Now they have understood the value of a teacher, the value of a school. Actually, they were complaining, "ನಮ್ಮ ಮಗುಗೆ ಇದು ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ." There were a lot of complaints about the teachers. Now they are complaining that the schools are not being started. And it is so difficult to handle the children. It is just like handling the wild animals in a zoo. Excuse me if I'm wrong. Many of the parents told me like this. We are really worshipping our teachers, that how great they are, how they could handle hundreds of students from morning 10 to evening 6. I'm not able to handle 2 kids of my own kids. Okay, these are all the lessons that we have learned because of this lockdown. And Dr. Kalyan Sundaram has narrated very wonderful instances for that. So the international seminar topic is really wonderful. It's about psychological well-being. We are all very much involved in our day-to-day life, and we are running across, we are running behind success, we are running behind money, we are running behind positions, everything. And we are searching for something and running which is not there actually. Because I think our expectations are becoming more and more, and our wants are being created into needs. There is no difference between wants and needs. Actually, car was a want, but now it is a need. Mobile was a want. Telephone was a want. TV was a want. WANT. Now it has become a need. I don't think if I lose my mobile, I feel as if I have lost my child. So much of attachment I have. And in one of my, one Swamiji asked one in one of the Lingayat mat, why you are not wearing your lingam? One lady answered, it is very heavy, that's why I could not wear. Then Swamiji told, you are able to carry two mobiles with you. It is not heavy. And this lingu will be heavy for you. Now we are so much attached with it. And even I have come to know that the cases of mobile thefts are becoming less and less. Because everybody holds, it has become our condition. Right, sir? And what has happened? Our expectations are increasing. And because of this, we are experiencing a strained family life. Everybody wants to get educated, wants to get higher education, not for the sake of education, not for happiness, but to fetch more and more lucrative jobs. And it is very difficult for a person like me who is in the field of higher education to detach education from a good job. Though we may say education and job are not connected, I don't think practically it is possible. Good
ಹಲೋ ಸರ್, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡಿಸ್ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. ಸೊ your speech is not very clear because of the network issue.
Yeah, I think I'm online.
Yes sir, now you are.
I'm online.
Yes sir, yes sir.
Yeah, okay. I will complete it within 5 minutes. I think because I think a lot of time we have been very enthusiastically listening to the lecture. So I think there is no end for this. And another important thing which I have observed, why we are behind this lucrative lifestyle, why we are all behind this success, why we are all behind this money, positions, because the society respects people who are having money, position, and everything. Though that respect is true or fake, I don't worry. People respect me. I want that fake respect. This is what has made us to run behind the success, to earn, to earn. If you ask any richest person in this world, if you ask him or her, are you happy? I don't think the answer will be yes. I was happy when I had meager, money in my hands, and I used to spend with a very minimum amount of money. Even a richest man will say, I have everything, but I don't think I'm happy. So very important thing is that money is not bringing us happiness. But still then, because the society gives us some fake respect, and I want to have that prestige with me. By hook or crook, I want to achieve the success. Probably another important thing that has led to our not well-being is aspiring for something which I really don't deserve. Because everybody wants that position and people respect them. I know I don't deserve, but I want to aspire. I aspire for that. I go behind for that. So what our great poet said, ಇದ್ದುದೆಲ್ಲವ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇರದುದರೆಡೆಗೆ ತುಡಿಯುವುದೇ ಜೀವನ. What we have, we are not happy with it. What we don't have, we want to go for it. ಇದ್ದುದೆಲ್ಲವ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇರದುದರೆಡೆಗೆ ತುಡಿಯುವುದೇ ಜೀವನ. It is my intrinsic expectation that is harming me a lot than the external world. I want to have a very good big car, big house, because people want that. You must be, and they respect me because I have all these comforts. I don't know whether I am happy within this. All these aspects probably have enabled us to introspect in this pandemic era. And probably the well-being, a person's well-being, I think I was told, I had that very brief, this one keynote speech, there our speaker has discussed very fantastically with all these aspects. Then how to be happy? Basava philosophy, very in simple words, he says, Kalabeda, Kolabeda, Husian Urialobeda, ಅನ್ಯರನ್ನು ಕಂಡು ಅಸಹ್ಯ ಪಡಬೇಡ, ತನ್ನ ಬಣ್ಣಿಸಬೇಡ, ಇದಿರು ಹಳಿಯಲು ಬೇಡ. ಇದೇ ಅಂತರಂಗ ಶುದ್ಧಿ, ಇದೇ ಬಹಿರಂಗ ಶುದ್ಧಿ. Very simple. Nothing, we don't need to have much of the comforts to be happy. I remember one of the very fantastic poem of G.P. Rajaratnam, How to be happy. A very fantastic lines are there. ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕೊಂದೂರು, ತಲೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದ್ ಸೂರು, ಮಲ್ಗಾಕೆ ಭೂಮಿ ತಾಯಿಯ ಮಂಚ, ಕೈ ಹಿಡ್ದವಳು ಪುಟ್ನಂಜಿ, ನಗ್ನಗ್ತಾ ಉಪ್ಪು ಗಂಜಿ, ಒಟ್ರಾಯ್ತು ರತ್ನಂ ಪ್ರಪಂಚ. I'm very happy with the very minimum facilities. So what I just want to, as a teacher, teaching in higher education, I think that the false comforts which we are running behind are fake, that has been identified because many of our dears and near ones we have lost during this pandemic period. And really, it has made us to understand it is the internal happiness that really matters, not something the materialistic things that gives us the fascination. So in this if I want to be psychologically happy, if the psychological well-being, the bliss, the zenith, what I can say, read books which depict positive thoughts. Please don't read the books which bring some negativity within us. Listen to songs, listen to music, be happy, don't worry, be happy. So I think this is what this pandemic has taught us. And in this, the international conference, I hope that it has thrown light on all these aspects. And as Dr. Kalyan Sundaram has said, we have never heard of it, we never knew of it, we never experienced, and probably this generation has come across with such a pandemic and many new things we have learned. And our teachers have understood a lot of technology. Those who could not operate, even open their email, now they are engaging online classes. We have learned many things. So it's a wonderful program that has been organized by our Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial College. And I congratulate all the organizers and the principal and our administrator, Dr. Rajendra Chenny, the principal, and all the speakers. And thank you very much for providing me an opportunity to speak few words with you. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words, sir. I now request our chief guest, Dr. Preeti V. Shanbag, Academic Director, Manasa Trust, who's here with us despite her tight schedule. I request you to share your kind words with the gathering, ma'am.
Thank you, Ashwini. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are, ma'am.
Respected Dr. Kalyan Sundaram, Professor S.S. Patil, Dr. Sam Manikam, Dr. Sandhya Kaveri, Dr. Rajendra Chenny, Dr. Rajni ma'am, Sister Mari Evelyn, Dr. Archana, Dr. Shweta, staff of CAPNI and the Department of Clinical Psychology, and all the participants who are present here online. A warm namaste to all of you. In the past 2 years, I feel that if experiences has taught us anything, then it would be that change has been the only constant. The sense of security that we had in our life, the predictability with which we used to handle our day-to-day affairs, the long-term plans which we used to make very much easily and we used to take for granted, all of it, I feel, has been shaken. It is therefore definitely expected that when our long-held beliefs as well as our lifestyles have changed so suddenly and drastically, all of us would experience some amount of distress and chaos. Though the COVID waves had been those successful first and second COVID waves were visualized mainly as physical pandemics, I think mental health professionals everywhere would have seen a visible increase in the number of mental illnesses, which a lot of people have also mentioned as a silent mental health epidemic in the growing. Newer COVID-related issues started cropping up. The number of suicides increased. Languishing and decreased productivity in those people who are actually well also increased. Children, as Kalyan Sundaram sir had already mentioned, knocked out on their schooling and their peer interaction. Dependence on technology had increased. Gaming addiction, relationship issues, domestic violence, the list seemed endless. And with the ongoing pandemic throwing us newer curveballs at least once in every few months, we have to accept the fact that the new normal is here to stay, at least for the foreseeable future. This definitely gives rise to many challenges on all fronts: physical, psychological, economic, as well as social. Challenges that not only governments or the healthcare sector needs to handle, but those that I think we as mental health professionals, as well as the general public, should put their effort into. It has also been seen over the past 2 years that even in the population that was affected by COVID, Those who were resilient, who were mentally prepared, and had a healthy sense of social and family support fared much better than the others. Which goes to say that mental health is something to be reckoned with and needs to be built for the near future also. As the saying goes, forewarned is forearmed. And if we are mentally prepared to handle the psychological distress, then we can probably pool our resources together and work productively through the next few waves of COVID and beyond. Keeping all this in mind, we at CAPNI felt that it was apt to hold a conference dealing with the theme psychological well-being in the pandemic era. And we have been guided for the past 2 days by experts in the field from across the world, and it has definitely been a very enriching experience for us. I take this opportunity, therefore, to humbly and sincerely thank all the resource persons who made this program such an academic feast. The team behind putting together this conference, for I know how hard and diligently that they have worked. And all the participants, for after all, the happiness of organizing a program comes from the happiness of having participants from different places interacting and participating so enthusiastically. Finally, after 2 days of the conference, I feel that if we have a take-home message, it is that we have to learn our hopes and not our distresses shape our future, and that we need to try and find a silver lining behind every dark cloud that there is. Probably, we would have never had the opportunity to host a virtual conference 2 years ago. We would not have learned how to navigate technology or adapt to new lifestyles. We would not have, as Kalyan Sundaram sir and Patil sir has already mentioned, learned to tolerate our spouses for long lengths of time and still stay healthy, and then definitely get comfortable with our new norm. So I think wishing all of you a life of living and learning. Have a great time, have a good weekend, and thank you so much for a patient here. Over to you, Ashok.
Thank you, ma'am. This event wouldn't be possible without the support and encouragement of our principal, Dr. Sandhya Kavi. I request Madam to take over and deliver the presidential address. Over to you, ma'am.
Respected Dr. Kalyan Sundaram sir, guest of honor Professor S.S. Patil from Kuvempu University, Chief guest Dr. Preeti V. Shanbag, Dr. Rajani Madam, Dr. Rajendra Chennai sir, Professor Sam Manikam sir, Advisory Council Chairperson Dr. A.R. Krishnamurthy sir, Dr. Venkateshan, Dr. Malati Veera, Sister Mali Evelyn, Convener, Dr. Archana Bhatt, Co-Convener Dr. Shweta Keti, Organizing Committee members, respected participants, delegates, media friends, staff and students of Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial Institute. Good evening to all of you. This is a very significant day in the life of our college because a just 4-year-old educational institution, Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial Institute, run by Manasa Trust and affiliated to the leading university, Kuvempu University, organized 2 days biggest educational event. It is organized in association with the Kuvempu University and Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Bangalore. Along with this, we also conducted pre-conference workshop by 2 eminent resource persons, Father Alex from Philippines and Dr. Prasant Kumar Roy from Kolkata. The plenary session of the conference was conducted by Dr. Suhas and Dr. Rakshati Baswaraj from USA, Yale University and Columbia University. As mentioned by inaugurator Sri Suresh from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in his inaugural address, pandemic COVID-19 is a very challenging situation. Professor Sam Manikam, during his keynote address, gave gestalt view to face this situation and this challenge. He focused on sustainable developmental goals. The pandemic situation in the world is increasing the demand for mental health services. Bereavement, isolation, loss of income, and fear are triggering mental health conditions. The learned methods of interventions may not be enough or may not be completely suitable to mediate. They may need to be modified, updated, or some more may need to be developed or rebuilt. Developing culturally based and indigenous as well as scientifically proven interventions not only help the sufferers but also will be a great contribution for the discipline. Therefore, the IQAC and Department of Psychology of Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial College, Shivamogga, Kuvempu University and Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan jointly organized this big academic platform. Pre-conference workshop on 5th of August trained around 70 young psychologists and counselors on savoring skills and clinical hypnotherapy. The keynote address by Professor Sam Manikam, a senior clinical psychologist, helped the audience in Google Meet as well as in live CAPME YouTube channel to analyze and understand the multi-facets of the situation and different techniques to deal them. The scientific research papers presented by different students, research scholars, academicians, and practitioners, the comments and directions given by senior persons who chaired 13 different parallel sessions of paper presentations is the hallmark of this conference. The conference proceedings, which will be brought out by our organizing committee, will give you all the idea of abundant research work going on in the field of psychology across India and abroad. The plenary session of today by Dr. Suhas Ganesh and Dr. Rakshati Baswaraj from two reputed universities in USA, Yale University and Columbia University, created discussion on two important areas, one on technological addiction and another on women mental health issues. Respected senior psychiatrist who dedicated himself in developing a well-recognized rehabilitation program for people with mental disorder, the Richmond Fellowship Society, concluded this international virtual conference with his valuable remarks. Dr. Kalyan Sundaram sir. Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial Institute may be a small institute with its just fourth year of commencement, but it is moving forward with the definite steps with its vision because of the blessings of great visionary Dr. K. A. Ashok Pai, clear and experienced directions, support and guidance by our management, Dr. Rajani A. Pai, Dr. Preeti V. Shanbhag, Dr. Vaman Shanbhag, our academic advisor, Dr. Rajendra Chenni. It is also because of support and encouragement given by Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Veerabhadrappa, and Registrar of Kuvempu University, as well as other seniors like Professor Patil from the university. Being affiliated to one of the leading NAC A accredited universities, we consider these academic activities as our duty and responsibility too. Networks and associations established and cherished since the inception of Manasa Trust is giving us great opportunity to get association by reputed organizations like Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Bangalore. Therefore, I profusely thank our management, Manasa Trust, Kuvempu University, and Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan for their support. Paper presenters from different reputed institutions, organizations, colleges, and universities from India and abroad enriched the meaning of this conference. Being the head of this institution, I congratulate and thank each of them. It would not have happened without the dedication of our organizing committee with the great leadership and guidance given by Sister Marie Evelyn, coordinator for the Department of Clinical Psychology, convener and HOD of the Department of Psychology, Dr. Archana Bhatt, convener Dr. K.T. Shweta, assistant professors Ashwini, Vinuta, Anagha, and Manish, chief librarian Mr. Ganesh, who helped in the digital management, Office Superintendent Sunil, Ms. Rupa, Hal Shankar, and others helped us in organizing this program. All of them need a big applause, sure. All the members of staff worked as moderators for each session and saw to it that sessions held in a very smooth manner. Manjunath sir, Huchaya sir, Manjunath Swami, Vibha, Santosh Kumar, and others played a very important role in the success of this conference. The media people and public of Shivamogga, who always trust Manasa, played a role in the growth of this institution. As a head of this institution, I assure and conclude that the college is dedicated to develop a more humane, student-focused, quality education hub, providing a lot of hands-on clinical training at our own sibling institutions, Manasa Hospital, Manasadhara Rehabilitation Center, Manaspurti Child Guidance Center, as well as encouraging evidence-based research among the students. With this, once again, I thank each one of you and congratulate all the paper presenters, and I conclude, hand over this to Ashwini again. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. We now have reached the most awaited time of the hour, Best Paper Award. Before I request our president to read out the two best papers, I would like to read out the shortlisted names from each session. It goes as follows. Garima Patwari and Dr. Zubi Hassan, Vilma N.V. and Premanand, Mainika Naik, Anushka Jain and Dr. Sudha Rathore, Sridevi P., Kaveri K., and Varsha R., Dennis Emila and Rosa Nimi Mathu, Kavita Saj and Archana Bhatt, M. Srinath Baliga, Suresh Rao, Krishna Prasad, Sanath Hegde, and Rajesh Shetty, Lavanya Singh and Vandana Nanglu, Shefali S.K. and V. Premanand, Sushmita Subramani and Privi Garg, Annette Babu, Divya B. and V. Premanand, Hita C.R. and Michelle M.S., Sushmita Subramani, Prachi Joshi, Pooja Kulkarni, and Miss Anuja Sate, Akshata Rao and Ashwini Shetty, Sharadi S.N., Dr. C.V. Sindhuja and Dr. Ashok H.S., Ahil N., Dr. Uma, and Dr. Seema Mehrotra. Congratulations to all of you who have been shortlisted. Now, I request our president to kindly read out the two best papers of these 2 days presentation. Over to you, Sandhya ma'am.
Thank you, Ashwini. In 2019, we conducted national level conference. During that time, Dr. Rajendra Chenni sir advised me that the next conference should be the international one. So our dream came true by organizing this international conference with all your support. So on behalf of the management, IQAC, Department of Psychology, Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial Institute, and organizing committee of this conference, I congratulate all the paper presenters, especially the presenters who were shortlisted for the Best Paper Award. I feel happy to announce 2 Best Paper Awards for the prize of Rs 2,000 each with the certificate. In this international virtual conference on psychological well-being in the pandemic era, I announce that one of the Best Paper Award goes to a student category, that is to Dennis Emila and Rosa Nimi Matthew from School of Social Work, Roshni Nilaya, Mangalore, and her paper titled Self-Care Behavior and Burnout Among Counselors in South India. Congratulations to Dennis Emila. Another Best Paper Award in the Research Scholars and Others category goes to Lavanya Singh and Vandana Nanglo from IIS Jaipur. Her paper titled Does Letter Writing as a Gratitude Intervention Improve Well-Being in Adolescence? Congratulations to Lavanya Singh and Vandana Nanglu. Thank you. Over to you, Ashwini.
Congratulations to the awardees once again. Now we have reached the end of the session. I request Dr. K.T. Shweta, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology, Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial College, to take over to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ashwini. Wishing you a warm and good evening from all of us at Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial College, Shivamogga. Respected Dr. Kalyan Sundaram, Professor S.S. Patil, Dr. Preeti Shanbhag, Dr. Sam Manikam, Dr. A.R. Krishnamurthy, Dr. Malati V. Rao, Dr. Rekha M.S., Dr. Sandhya Kaveri, Dr. Rajendra Chenni, Sister Mari Evelyn, Dr. Archana Bhatt, staff and students of Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial College, and all the delegates. I deem it my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for a rich learning experience like this. On behalf of Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial College, I would like to thank Dr. Kalyan Sundaram, advisor, the Richmond Fellowship Society, for accepting our invitation and delivering the valedictory address. It was our privilege to have you with us, sir. Your presence has added more value to the conference. Thank you once again, sir. Kuvempu University and its administration have always been very supportive in all of the initiatives of a new and young college like Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial College. On behalf of the management, I would express our heartfelt gratitude to Professor S.S. Patil, Senior Professor, Kuvempu University, for being a part of today's valedictory. Dr. Preeti Shanbhag, Academic Director, Manasa Trust, has been a major support in all initiatives of the college. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being a part of every little venture of the college. My gratitude to our principal, Dr. Sandhya Kaveri, without whose support, organizing an international virtual conference would never be possible. Our sincere thanks to Professor Rajendra Chenni, Director, Manasa Center for Cultural Studies, for his mentoring at every step of the conference. On behalf of Kateel Ashok Pai Memorial College, I would like to convey our gratitude to Dr. Rajni Pai, Managing Trustee, Manasa Trust. Madam, you definitely are the torchbearer of all of our initiatives. I would once again like to thank Honorable Vice Chancellor of Kuvempu University, Professor B.P. Veerabhadrappa, Dr. Sam Manikam, Shri H.N. Suresh, Father Alex Arokyaswamy, Dr. Prasanta Kumar Roy, Dr. Suhas Ganesh, Dr. Rakshati Basavaraju, Dr. A.R. Krishnamurthy, Dr. S. Venkateshan, Dr. Lancy D'Souza, Dr. Ashok H.S., Dr. Rekha, Dr. Malati, Dr. Premanand V., Dr. Anita Bhatt, Dr. Geeta for providing the intellectual and academic resources to enrich the conference. I would like to thank all the delegates who played a major role in making this event a huge success. I would fail in my responsibilities if I would not thank the staff of the Department of Psychology for all their efforts to make this event a successful one. Thank you so much to our HOD, Sister Mari Evelyn, Dr. Archana Bhatke, the faculties, Ms. Vinuta, Ms. Ashwini, Ms. Anaga, and Manish. A heartfelt gratitude to all the teaching and non-teaching staff of the college for their cooperation. I would also like to thank the UG and PG students of the college for contributing to the smooth functioning of the conference. A special note of gratitude to Master Anish, Shri Ganesh, our librarian, Mr. Sunil and Rupa Madam for rendering technical assistance. I would like to thank the press and Sunrise Digital, our social media consultants, for promoting the event. I once again thank each one of you who have contributed in making this event a successful one, hoping that all of you have had an enriching and mindful learning experience. I once again thank all of you. Please note, All of the participants and paper presenters will receive the certificates within 20 days along with the e-conference proceedings. Thank you once again. Stay happy and stay safe. Over to you, Ashwini.
Thank you, ma'am. I once again congratulate the awardees and all the shortlisted members and definitely the participants for your active participation. We wish to have you amongst us in all our future endeavors as well. Wishing all of you the best of health. Take care. Thank you.